Energy expert Hilton Trollope has called on Eskom to be transparent in load-shedding stages. This follows a sentiment by a number of energy experts that the country went to a Stage 8 blackout last week. However, Eskom denied these Stage 8 claims, saying it implemented what it says was an additional Stage 4 load curtailment aimed at reducing the energy use by big companies. The Power Utility and Electricity Minister have warned of a dark and cold winter ahead. We speak now to energy expert Lungile Mashele to help us make sense. And Lungile, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. There was a little bit of reprieve, and as soon as there was reprieve, we went back to very high stages of load shedding. What does this tell you?
So I think there was an emphasis by Eskom to tell us, for the last couple of weeks that 3 of their plants had achieved, above 70% EAF, and they were working hard at, maintenance, and as a result, things were starting to actually improve. And I think coupled with the public holidays that we had also, it looked like things were okay. However, if you look at that long Easter weekend that we had, there were telltale signs that things actually were not okay. And the major thing was that Eskom was implementing load reduction, especially on their large customers, through their virtual power station as well as interruptible load shedding. They were also using vast, high number of the OCGT units also, telling us that there was going to be a crisis. So it was not a shock last week, then entering into Stage 6 load shedding ultimately.
What needs to be happening? I think this is a question that is being asked every single time this conversation is had.
So, Eskom, first and foremost, and I think this has been reiterated by the utility itself, by the electricity minister, by the minister of DMRE also, is that Eskom needs to focus on the energy availability factor. They do need to improve fleet performance on their coal fleet more than anything else. Yes, there is a need to go out and get additional capacity, but this is very limited in the region. As we all know, there are regional issues which do not capacitate other countries to actually support us. The country that has been, helping since the 70s actually is Mozambique through their hydro HCB. But anything more than that, we would actually need to go and renegotiate new contracts, whether it's new hydro, it is going to be power ships that are off the coast of Mozambique, gas also. So that's basically our only hope at this point.
You mentioned an improvement in fleet performance. The National Union of Mine Workers wants an improvement in terms of what they call the quality of life of some workers, demanding a 15% wage increase. How do you perceive this will impact an already financially stressed power utility? So,
with my experience with unions, one always has to remember that they do start high, usually at an amount that is not congruent with the economy or with anything that is actually happening. I would not want to spend more time, on it just to say that naturally they will come down to normal expectations. But the key thing is that you are working with a utility here where you have over 30,000 people. And for the last couple of years, they've been working under strenuous conditions. Some of them have not received increases for a number of years also. It is an organization where, former executives were looking down on their abilities, talking about how they are not world class and what they're doing is ineffective. So, and an organization also where people have been downtrodden. So whoever is going to be coming in has to appreciate that workers do need incentives. Are they at 15%? Of course not.
We were speaking with a colleague this morning just trying to find out what a blackout would look like in South Africa. Currently, if you try to take out money, and that was the argument that we might see ourselves, where you go to an ATM, you're not able to take out money anymore, or little things that we take for granted. You want to get petrol and you can't because the petrol station is not able to function. Already we are there, right? So what does a complete blackout look like?
So let me start off by saying that a blackout is actually a faraway concept. The probability of that actually happening in this country is very, very low. And this is why Eskom implements load shedding. So you will find that they will implement higher stages of load shedding, stage 10, 12, or whatever it is that they come up with before we even have a blackout. Ultimately, a blackout would disrupt our entire lives. You would not be able to move your car, ultimately. Never mind trying to fuel up your phone. If anything that requires electricity, you would not be able to bank. Payments would not be able to come into your account. Your salary is not coming in. You're not going to get any water. You won't be able to get food. I mean, you go to the grocery stores. How are they possibly going to store food also? So you're talking of a catastrophe ultimately that will impact every aspect of our lives.
Will that catastrophe be brought on by a non-improvement in capacity?
So if Eskom does continue on this path, there is a greater probability. However, I would caution and say this is why they implement load shedding, and they will continue. If I look at other countries around the world, whether it's Zimbabwe, Zambia, before they would even get to that point, you would implement 20 hours of load shedding, or even more. So a blackout really is an improbable state. I'm not saying that it cannot happen, but it does not necessarily mean that that's where we're actually heading.
Comforting. Thank you very much. Lungile Mashele is an energy expert.